Hi everyone. So in this video, we will learn about Lambda function. So we will try to implement one basic Lambda function and we will see how it works. So let's get into the PPT first for the Lambda function and then we will come to the concept. Okay, so we will just take 1 or 2 minutes to go through the theory. So AWS Lambda, uh, it's a serverless compute service that enables you to run code in response to events without provisioning or managing servers. So while you create the AWS Lambda function, you don't have to worry about that which kind of servers should be there. Like generally, if you have to deploy your code, you create a virtual machine that is EC2 machine. So you have to select that which kind of instance should be there, how much network should be there, how much CPU and memory should be there. But while you deploy your code through the Lambda function, you don't have to worry about the infrastructure. All those things will be handled by the AWS itself. So AWS will take care of the underlying infrastructure, correct? And you can run a trigger or 100 triggers, Lambda will scale it automatically. What are the languages which are supported by the Lambda? So it's Node.js, Python, Go, Java, and more. So there are multiple technology which are supported by the Lambda functions. The infrastructure, you don't have to worry about that. AWS will manage the infrastructure, whatever is the required, correct? And it's a serverless compute service that you have to focus on. So it's a serverless compute service. You don't have to worry anything about that. What are the key concepts of the AWS Lambda function? So it's the event-driven architecture that if something happens based on that particular trigger, Lambda function will be executed, correct? So Lambda functions are triggered by various AWS services or custom events. For example, there is a S3 bucket. So whenever I will be uploading a file in a bucket that will in response run a Lambda function, and the whatever the code I will be writing that, and that code will result in some response. So whenever I will upload a file to my S3 bucket, in response, it will run the code and it will execute. So it's event-driven architecture. Similarly, you can use the API gateway. These are the backend services for the Lambda function actually, S3, DynamoDB, SNS, and other services. What's the basics of the Lambda function? So there is a one handler function. This is the entry point of Lambda function. It's typically named Lambda function dot Lambda handler, correct? So this Lambda function is the file name and Lambda handler is the function name. So through this, the Lambda function will be called and it will be invoked, correct? Runtime environment that you can select any of the technology and execution role. So you will have to give a IAM role and the permission associated with that so that it can fetch the services and it can perform the certain action, whatever the actions you have selected through the permissions, correct? Then benefits of the Lambda function, it's serverless model that you don't have to worry about the infrastructure, underlying infrastructure and you don't have to worry about CPU, memory, and other things. It will automatically scale itself based on the number of incoming requests, cost effective. That means you have to pay only for the compute and the time what you have consumed. That means if your code is running for 10 milliseconds, then you have to pay for only 10 milliseconds. You don't have to pay for any other things. That if even if the Lambda function will be there, it won't cost anything. And then it can be integrated with multiple AWS services, either your S3 or your API gateway or any of the other services, correct? What's the best practice? Keep functions lightweight. Your Lambda function has a timeout, so optimize your code, avoid extensive processing, use environment variables to keep your Lambda function more configurable, and error handling, just like the code, you have to do error handling and retries, and then limit the execution time so that it gets faster and your optimized code will run in a better way, correct? Choose appropriate timeout settings based on the function use and requirements, correct? So that's it. Now let's move directly to the demo section of the Lambda function. So what we will do, we will create one. So we already have one bucket here, demo bucket M. And whenever we will upload a file here, upload a objects, correct? So that will result in functioning of like execution of a Lambda function, which will in return return the content of the object what we will upload. So let me upload one object here. So let me add file and just suppose that. on the S3 demo, where is that S3 demo? I am just uploading this test file one. Okay, test file one.txt I have uploaded. Okay, so what is the test file one.txt? If you see objective URL, let me hit the objective URL. Access denied, correct? I'm not able to see the content of whatever is written in this lambda function. Sorry, in this object, correct? So if you want to see, I can show you from here. Let me go to the desktop, S3 demo, and the content, test file one. It has all these things. Okay, let me go to the test file two. This is test file 2 for S3. I will write it. This is test file 2 for S3. Okay. And then in the test file 3, I will be writing this is test file 3 for S3. Okay, that I will write. So whenever I will be uploading this test file 2, test file 3, it should show me the content of that. Correct. So till now nothing has happened. I will now integrate one Lambda function. So in the properties, there is an option event notification. So what it will do for send a notification when a specific event occurs in the bucket. So when I want that whenever I upload a object in my bucket, it should send me some kind of event notification, correct? So for that, what I will do, I will create one Lambda function. Create a function. I start from the scratch. So I will be creating one as a test. Technology, I will be selecting my Python 3.8. That's it. Permission. Create a new role with basic Lambda permissions. That's fine. And I don't have to do anything else. Additional configurations, nothing. That's it. I have to just do this one only. And later on, we will be passing the code. So I'll be creating create function. Okay, the function has been created. I will move to old editor. I'm more familiar with the old editor, so I will move to old editor only. And here I have to pass the code, correct? So I will get to my GitHub repository where I have written the code. So S3 to Lambda, and here we will use the this particular code. You can use this. This is a public GitHub repository. You can, if you want to get the code or if you want to get into any of the theory and you want to do the practical, you can come here and you can use the content. So I will remove this. So it's what is this particular code is like whatever with the help of the bucket name. It will do the filter and it will print this custom message hello from S3, and then it will print the bucket name, it will print the object name, and then in the response it will get the object. So whatever the object will be object, that means whatever the file I will be uploading in S3 bucket, it will return the response, and out of the response it will print the data. So whatever the content will be in the that particular object, and that means the file, it will print the content of that particular file. Okay. So I will just deploy this. Okay, this is done. Now let me go to the configuration. I will change the permission of that role. So currently this particular role has the execution access for the Lambda basic execution only. But I want this execution to be happen when we upload a object in S3. So I will have to give the permission of S3 as well. Correct. So I will be getting this S3 full access. You can give your custom inline policy as well. For now, just demo purpose, I will be using Amazon S3 full access. So let me get to the add permissions. So this particular role has the S3 full access as well and Lambda basic execution. So that's it. We are done with the role and permission. You can go with environment variables and others based on the requirement, but for now, our code does not require any environment variables. So we have just created one permission sets. Triggers also we don't require till now. So based on the different code, we will be seeing the option of triggers as well. For now, just to start with the Lambda function, we have just gone through the permission. We have just gone through the code. That's it. So we are fine with the things. Now I'll be selecting this Lambda function in while creating the event notification in the bucket. So let me go to the event notification in our S3, create event notifications. Event name, I'll be keeping it as demo. Prefix, I don't need to pass anything. Event type, I will be selecting as a put. Like whenever there will be a S3 object created put. So whenever I will put any file or any object in this AWS S3, so event should be triggered to the Lambda function, correct? That's it. So I don't need to do anything else. Lambda function, I'll be choose from your Lambda function. So I'll be using this test. That's it. Save changes. Okay. Now whether it has been executed or not, for that I will have to get into the CloudWatch logs. So I'll be in the monitor section from the Lambda function. I'm here in the Lambda function. I will click on the view CloudWatch logs. And here you will see some event will happen, some event ID you will see. So till now there is no log groups, correct? Now I'll be uploading one object here and we will see if anything happens or not. So I will get into the upload section. I will add files and I will be uploading this test file too. Okay. Click on the upload. That's it. Let's get into the CloudWatch. I will refresh it. One stream has been invoked here, correct? If you see the timestamps, it's in the UTC. So it's 5/11, 2024 and 7:59. So it's the UTC time zone. So it, for our time zone, it's the in the IST, it will be 6:11 only. If you see, what's the bucket name? So according to the code, if you see the code in the Python, sorry, in the code section, which is written in the Python, it should print hello from S3, it should print bucket name, and then it should print the bucket object. These three things should be there. So let's see. Hello from S3, bucket name, and the object name. So we had uploaded test file 2.txt, it has been printed. Now, according to the code, it should print the response and then it should print the data and then the event. So it has printed the response and then what it has printed? It has printed the data. So what was the content of the file? This test file 2.txt, it has printed the that response. Sorry, this that data. This is test file 2 for S3, correct? And then after it has printed the event. So what event has happened? So if you see, if you want to see the detail of the event, so it's the record, event version, event source, and other details are there, correct? What is the bucket ARN? So that bucket ARN, what's the object? All those things. So this is how we can use the Lambda function. Uh, like whenever a bucket will be object will be uploaded to a bucket, so you can get the notification based on that. So you can have a different kind of notification, correct? So when we were creating this event notification, there are multiple options. As you can see that there are options either based on the put or based on the like create, based on put, delete, and all those options, correct? So either you can have your notifications on based on the put event, based on the post event, or if someone tries to remove any object from the your S3 object. So based on that, you can get the notification from the Lambda function, correct? So yeah, this is the basic use case of the Lambda function we can do. So we will come up with more extensive and more wider use case of the Lambda function. So that's it for today. We will see you in the next video. Thank you.